This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, our personality today has dedicated his life to fixing hair loss, a problem that some of us know people who have suffered with, and it really messes up your identity. So we want to know what his life was like and how he embarked on this journey of giving people who are battling with hair loss some dignity. His name is Ayo Otubanjo, and he's the CEO of Vince Hair Clinic. Throughout the interview, if you have any questions for him, let us know with the hashtag Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line 0550-585-832. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning. Good
How
morning.
are you?
I'm very well.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for inviting me.
Now, tell us a bit about Vince Hair Clinic. What do you guys do? Where are you based?
Vinci Hair Clinic.
Oh, it's Vinci?
Vinci, yeah. Vinci. It's based on Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry for that.
That's okay. Vinci Hair Clinic is a global medical group.
Okay.
We specialize in hair restoration.
Wow.
We've got about 33 clinics in about 14 countries. So we're all over the world. We're the largest.
Wow.
Yes, so that's all we do, hair restoration.
How long have you guys been doing this again?
Vinci's been going for about 24 years.
Wow.
I've been with the business about 20.
Okay.
We've, expanded rapidly especially over the last 10 years. We've actually expanded a great deal. So we're now in Africa.
Wow.
The first doing hair restoration in Africa.
Nice.
Outside South Africa.
South Africa.
We've got 2 clinics in Nigeria and 1 clinic in Ghana so far. And we're looking to have some more because we want more people, to benefit from what we do.
From your interaction with your patients, and we'll get to your life,
Sure.
How does, losing your hair affect their sense of identity and pride?
You would not believe how traumatizing it is. I've personally consulted with young people, especially, who have come to the clinic in tears.
Wow.
That they're going bald at age 18, 19.
Wow.
We'll talk about more of the genetic, so it is quite a traumatic thing. I've consulted with professionals whose careers have suffered one way or the other because of hair loss, especially people in the media arts industry.
Yeah.
So image is everything, the way you're perceived, the way you look. It really is part of your brand.
Yeah.
So when you start going bald, it really affects your confidence and it affects your career prospects.
What causes it? I mean, you're thinking maybe when you get to your 50s or 60s, then you start going bald. But at 18, what will cause that?
Well, this is one of the myths around hair loss. I mean, there are different types of hair loss. You could group them into possibly 3 groups, 3 distinct groups. One is genetic, one is caused by medical conditions, and the third is possibly things people do in the salon.
Okay.
Kind of damaging things they do in the salon. So with the genetic factors, I mean, there really isn't much you can do.
Yeah.
If you have the genes of baldness in your family, it's not definite that you'll have baldness, but the propensity to actually have baldness is there.
Yeah.
So you're more inclined to go bald. If you have some medical conditions, lupus, typical example, it's a form of autoimmune disease.
So that's part of the symptoms you're...
Yeah, precisely. So one of the symptoms of lupus is the loss of hair. Wow. Sometimes totally all over the body.
Wow. Sometimes
just on the scalp. And then, you've got a third group, which is things that people do in salons. You women, with all the
experimenting,
with all experimenting precisely, with all the glue, the dye, and all the chemicals that you keep applying to your scalp, some of which are not really suitable for human skin. They causes hair loss.
Wow.
So those are the different categories of hair loss that we tend to see in the clinic.
Okay, so we'll get back to the clinic stuff, but let's talk about you. How did you get on this journey of hair loss? What was life like? Where did you grow up? And how has the journey been so far?
Okay. I was born in Nigeria.
Okay.
I went to the UK when I was 14. I went to school. I went to public school in the UK.
Okay.
So I've been there virtually all my life.
What was that transition like to be in a Nigerian system where I'm sure the teachers are very strict, academics is everything, gotta get an AAA to a public school in the UK?
The transition was really mind-boggling because I wasn't just going to a public school. I was going to a public school run by monks. Christian
Really?
monks, yeah,
Monks?
Benedictine monks, yeah. It's a private school. So basically, we had to wake up for mass at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
We had to attend mass at midday, and then mass in the evening when we come back. So it was a very regimented kind of schooling, which, in a sense, it's what
Shaped
most,
who you are.
shaped me, precisely. Because I'm a very disciplined person.
Wow.
So everything in the right places, in the right boxes. So I enjoyed my time in school. I still enjoy England. I mean, I still consider England to be my home, even though I wasn't born there. Still,
Spend the bulk of your life there.
when people ask me, where do you actually live? Where do you come from? I say, it's a very hard question. I'm Nigerian, obviously. You could say that I'm Nigerian origin, but then all my values, all my mannerisms, and everything else, it's very English.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. So 20 years ago, what made you decide to join Vinci as opposed to any other company that you could have?
I'll have to be honest with you. I was looking for work, like everybody else. I was involved. I was involved. I was simply
it wasn't
looking.
like Superman. This is my purpose.
No. If I said I have this passion at the very early stages for hair loss, I'll be lying.
Okay.
I was simply looking for work.
Okay.
But when I joined, and I started seeing all these different possibilities and all the issues around hair loss and and people's emotive reaction to hair loss. That really moved me. Then I started getting more passionate about the work. I started getting, and then I went through a course of study, got my qualifications and launched myself into my career.
Did you think you'll be in it for 20 years?
I think it goes to show just what an exciting field it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's because I've seen so many people. I've consulted with so many people, celebrities as well.
Wow.
Singers, actors, actresses, obviously I can't name names.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, I fixed your hair.
But you'll be surprised at the celebrities that you see nowadays, whose history, of hair loss would make your head turn. But they come to us. There's one particular famous footballer, which everybody knows. I'm not going to mention his name. who actually did this. I wasn't one that consulted with him.
Okay.
One of my colleagues consulted with him. And when he turned up at the clinic, everybody was like,
you too?
You? And eventually went ahead and did the hair transplant, which we'll talk about more later. And came back after, at the beginning of the season. And everybody was thinking, he looks different.
Yeah.
Not like what
I got my hair.
So, I mean, those are the kind of things that make the job so exciting. The people you meet, the stories you hear, and then I get a lot of traveling. I go to the US to work in some of our clinics. I go to Europe. I come to Africa. So what's there not to like?
Let's get into the crux of it. So I come into your office. I'm losing my hair.
Right.
Where do we start from?
Right. The first thing I want to do is to examine your scalp. That's the number one. And then I'll be looking for areas where the hair loss
So you have like a patch here, like a bald patch.
Right, precisely.
It's spreading.
Now, what I then want to do, I want to look very closely to see if there are strands of hair shafts coming through. No matter how small, I want to see them because that tells me something. It tells me that the follicles are still viable. Yeah, the follicles are the roots of your head. I mean, the only thing we see, obviously, are the shafts, the hair shafts that we saw now. Those are dead cells. They're not really important. The really, really important thing are the follicles. So when I look at your scalp, I'm trying to see whether there's any shred of, whether I could see any hair shaft coming through. Because that tells me that the follicles are still viable. They might be weak, but they're still viable. So then the question is, what treatments can we offer you? In cases where the shaft is still there, no matter how weak they are, we could do some therapies.
Okay, so
to make the follicles.
We're going to talk about the therapy because that's very interesting. But again, guys, if you have any family member or a friend who is suffering from hair loss and would want to know the different services that are available, I know some of you at home practice buying all sorts of medicines that you don't need to treat this hair loss. Let us know with the hashtag BreakfastDaily and the WhatsApp line 0550 585-832. I'm already thinking of a question related to, can you just walk into a hospital and ask a doctor to check your hair for you if you're losing your hair, or do you need to see a specialist? So we'll delve right into that. But continue your point first.
Right. So, I mean, once I've determined that the follicle is still viable, the question then is what type of treatment would be most effective in terms of getting those follicles stronger? Because when they get stronger, they produce thicker,
healthy hair.
Healthy hair, precisely. So there are therapies that we can deploy. There are also some medication. Funny enough, that people don't think, can actually help, retain your hair so that you don't go bald.
Wow.
The key thing about hair loss, especially the genetic form, is picking up the signals at the very early stages. If you could pick up the signals at the very early stages, we can actually prevent baldness.
What are the signals?
Right. For men, usually you go bald in this region of the scalp.
Yeah.
The very first thing you notice, if you're attentive enough, is you start feeling your hair getting soft. Like baby's hair, like cotton wool.
Like your actual hair.
Your actual hair would get, the texture would be soft, as if you permed or relaxed it or something.
Which is very weird especially in Africa.
Precisely.
We don't have...
That is the sign of what we call miniaturization. Okay. Now, at that stage, if you then come to us and say, well, I'm not quite sure what's going on, or your barber, for instance, says, something is not quite right. Your hair seems softer than the size of the... We could then prescribe you some medication. And there are medications that you could take at that very early stage that could actually stop that process.
Wow.
So people say, oh, there's nothing. I mean, baldness is an inevitable part of life. No, it isn't. It isn't.
Wow. Now, if you notice this, symptom of my hair is getting soft, who do you go to? You just go to your regular physician and say, my hair is getting soft, or do you need a special type of...
You need a specialist, because most doctors, no specialists. I mean, they probably spend maybe 30 minutes during the course of medical school on alopecia. That's the topic they usually, have it. So it doesn't really give you it gives an overview. It doesn't give you the kind of in-depth
that you need.
So you need to come to a professional to really diagnose exactly the type of alopecia that you're experiencing, because that's what's then going to determine the course of treatment that will be most effective.
Wow. Okay, now, is it okay to, a bus, a guy comes on and says, this medicine will treat your hair, and another person says, I tried it, it worked for me, and, I just experiment to see if it will work?
There are lots of what we call snake oil products out there on the internet, making all manners of claims, that if you just apply this on your scalp, you'll have an afro.
And people go and write really great reviews this is me before and after.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It's a scam. Okay. I mean, basically, there are only two medications, you'll be surprised, that's actually been certified by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, for the treatment of hair loss.
Okay.
One is called Finasteride, which is a capsule that you take at the very early stages of baldness, the one I explained earlier. Yeah. The second one is minoxidil, which is a topical medication that you apply to the affected parts of the scalp. Those are the only two
in the whole world.
It's been tested and it's been proven to work.
I'm sure they are very expensive too.
Not that much expensive. Okay. Not that much expensive. All the other claims that you see online have never been tested. They've certainly never been certified. And people can make all manners of claims as to, oh, well, if you take this, it will make your hair grow, you'll have an afro in 2 weeks. Nah.
It won't work. Okay, now we have some pictures that we want to show our viewers, and then you will walk us through what we are looking at here. So will this be like a later stage of hair loss?
This is advanced.
Very advanced.
This is very advanced. Okay. And it's a typical male pattern baldness. Localized in the crown area. And when it gets to this stage, I mean, there isn't any cream that you could put on, nothing that will make the hair come back.
Wow.
So this will require surgical intervention. So, and this person, actually, I remember I consulted with him. This was about 3-4 years ago. And, he was pretty upset about losing his hair. Yeah. And within 12 months, all that area was covered up.
Wow.
I don't know if you've got the pictures from the surgery.
Okay, let's look at the next picture.
And that's him.
Wow.
That's him 12 months later.
Wow.
That's him 12 months later.
You can't even tell that
you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell.
Okay, let's look at the next one.
So this is a typical what we call traction alopecia. I mean, this affects mostly African women.
Is it because of the weave and the glues and all those things?
Yeah,
Genetics
correct,
also a part
correct.
of it as well?
It's mostly the type braiding. That women do, and sometimes the glue and the things they use to fix hair. So you could see the edges have totally gone in the picture on the left. Now, you've got to remember the follicles in the frontal region of the scalp are the weakest of all the follicles on the scalp. So when you damage them, they're usually very badly damaged. And through surgery, we've managed to restore our hairline, as you can see.
Wow. Okay. Ayo, can you walk us through what the surgery will look like? Is it that you're going to get donated hair and pinch it through my scalp? Or how does that look like?
Right. Okay. There are basically two methods of doing hair transplants. There's something we call the FUE, which is the follicular unit extraction, or we also call it the pluck and plug. Anyway,
that sounds better.
It's a kind of professional, slang. The second one is what we call the FUT, or the strip method. Now, the FUT is the most appropriate for African hair, simply because of the structure of our hair. Now, what we do is we take a strip of skin tissue, and usually we take it from the back of the scalp, because the follicles there are not affected by what causes most of the baldness you see in men. So we know those follicles are very safe. Genetically, they're very safe. So we take the skin tissue, and out of the skin tissue, we harvest quite a lot of follicles. I mean, you'd be surprised to know, on a typical average human being, you've got about 100 to 150,000 hairs on your scalp.
Wow.
So when we take a bit of skin tissue, out of that skin tissue, we could have about 3,000.
Wow. In the lab?
in the operating theater. Wow. Just a tiny little strip could have about 2,000 to 3,000. So when we harvest those follicles, we then prepare them into follicular units or grafts, and we'll prepare as many of those as we need to implant in the recipient area. And then the last stage of the procedure is to then make incisions, tiny incisions.
So do you have to do it one at a time?
One at a time.
Really time consuming.
It is one at a time. It's a procedure that takes a whole day.
Wow.
So typically it takes about 8 hours. So, but the middle bit, which is when the nurses are preparing the grafts, which is usually about 3 hours, you're not doing anything. You're just sitting somewhere in the operating theater, maybe reading a book, having something to eat, watching TV or whatever. It's only when they've finished preparing the grafts that you come back, for them to start doing the implantation.
Any advice for us as far as lifestyle decisions that may lead to hair loss? I mean, if it's genetic, you have no control over it.
Yeah. Although you can look out for early signs.
That's true.
I think there's some practices that takes place in salons, which I'm very, very passionate about in talking to people. If I give you a bottle, a cream, and say, "Well, just apply it to your skin," if your first reaction would be to look at it and look at the label, what does it contain? What does it say? Has it been approved? You just don't take it and start praying your skin.
But sometimes we don't understand what's on the label.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, there are organizations that have been set up specifically to help consumers. So you don't need to worry your head about some chemicals that have been listed on the ingredients. Just look for the certification. In Ghana, I mean, you will have
we have FDA and
yeah,
GSA.
Precisely. So any medication that's come in and hasn't got the certification of the FDA, you want to keep away from.
No, mostly, and let's say in the market, you just see a very beautiful lady who looks like what you would like to look like, and you're like, okay, if I apply this, I'll look like her. No,
nothing is what it seems. You've got to be very careful. Just like I said, you wouldn't take a cream from me and just start applying it without knowing what's in it. The same thing applies to anything that they're about to apply on your scalp. Look at the product. Look for signs that a reputable authority has actually certified it for effective and safe use on human skin. In the US, where most of these products come from, they would have gone through a rigorous test, through the FDA. And then once you got the FDA stamp of approval, you know it's safe. And and then the next thing is to follow the instructions carefully. Make sure you do exactly what the manufacturer says.
Okay. So that's the first step. What about the braiding of hair? The tiny, tiny ones.
The braiding of hair, there's nothing wrong in braiding. But why does it have to be so tight?
So they will last long.
Well, I've actually been in salon, watching someone having a braid, and they were screaming, in pain.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, all for beauty. No, there's no need for that.
Yeah.
You could do the braiding without being too tight. And if you do, don't wear it for too long. Take it off after about 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Yeah, and let your hair relax.
But some of the braids can last 6-8 months. And that's money you're saving.
And then you're causing more damage in the long run. Just take it off after about 3 to 4 weeks.
How important is it for your hair to breathe?
It's very important. The follicles, like any cell in the body, needs time to rest. When you constantly do things to it, you weaken them. So, that's my advice, to do the braids, don't make it too tight. Take it off after 3 to 4 weeks, and then come back to it, and do another one. Yeah. But some women do back-to-back braiding, back-to-back, for years, and all of a sudden, they start noticing that the hair in front is no longer there. And that's when they panic.
Okay, so I have more questions for you, but quick, if you're just joining us on Breakfast Daily, we're talking to Ayo. He's been in this industry for over 20 years, worked in the UK, worked in Nigeria, they're in South Africa as well, and he's in Ghana now. So I want to know exactly what he's doing in Ghana, the kind of clients he's met, how he's been able to treat them. But if you're struggling with this as well, let us know with the hashtag Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line 0550-585-832. We are talking all things hair loss. We all know a brother or a nephew or an auntie suffering from it, and they are so ashamed that they won't even show their hair in public. They are always covering their hair. And it's about time we, take the stigma away so that people can be comfortable showing their hair to people. The hashtag again is 0550-585-832, and the WhatsApp line is the hashtag is Breakfast Daily, and the WhatsApp line is 0550-585-832. All right, back to Ayo, if you're ready for me.
Yes, sorry.
I actually do have some messages for you, but how important is it for us to not make people feel ashamed? Because within our communities, if you see an 18-year-old suffering from hair loss, you see his friends saying, what's stressing you out that you're suffering from hair loss at 18? Or a woman in her early 20s and her hair is beginning to fall out. She will always cover it and do all those things to it because she's ashamed.
Correct.
How important is it for us to just see it as any regular
Well, unfortunately, I can't change people's perception or people's views about other people. But one thing I would say, though, is when you have a hair loss issue, have it dealt with. Yeah. Don't just hide it away. If you're a young man losing hair prematurely, according to you, don't just wear a baseball cap. Come to us. Let's see what the extent of the baldness is. And we might be able to help you. Okay. And similarly with the women, I know it's not pleasant. When people make fun of you and say, "Oh, look at you! You don't have any hair on your scalp." Well, I don't have any hair on my scalp, but you can't tell whether I'm bald. So those are the things that you should really try and address, get it dealt with so that people don't make fun of you.
Okay, so we have a question here. Someone wants to know where the clinic is located and the range of consultation fee. Okay. They were to just come in and ask you. Okay.
We're based in Shiashi.
Okay.
In East Legon. And for all the clinics in the world, we don't charge for consultation.
You're joking?
Yeah, we don't charge for consultation.
Why?
Why? About 12 years ago, there was there were a lot of competition. In fact, there is still a lot of competition in the UK. A lot of clinics started coming up, and we had to basically differentiate ourselves, because, and so we thought, well, you know what, how much are you going to make from consultation? Let's just make it free. Encourage more people to come to you, and then hopefully more people to take up your treatment options. Wow. So we don't charge for consultation in any of our clinics all over the world.
Wow.
Totally free.
And business is still profitable.
You get, well, it's, our business is the work we do. Yeah. It's the treatment options we offer, not in telling people what's caused their hair loss or what the options are for them, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So, speaking of differentiating, what differentiates Vinci Hair Clinic from all the other clinics in the world aside the consultation fee?
The extent of our expertise, the coverage of our clinics. So I can call anyone in the world if I have a particular issue that I seem to be struggling with, and they might have seen a similar case, and they'll be able to advise you. I pick up the phone and call somebody in Miami and say, "Oh, I've never come across this particular case before. Do you know anyone that I could speak to?" And they probably think, "Well, hold on, I think I heard somebody in Brazil having a similar issue last year. Let me put in touch with them." So that network, that global network, works perfectly in terms of sharing information, best practice, and really helping, colleagues. So if you come to Vinci, more than likely you're going to find a solution to whatever hair loss. No matter how unique that hair loss is, somebody somewhere in the world has come across a similar situation in the past, and they'll be able to advise the consultant what to do.
Okay, so back to you. Yeah. Any advice for young people who are watching? They just stumbled upon some job, on paying attention to the job that you have and how that might be what you're meant to do for the rest of your life, as opposed to saying, well, it's a paycheck, so let me just
so do the best. Exactly. Well, I mean, if you have a passion for image, for how people look, and you want to help people, I mean, one of the things about what we do is the joy we get when we help somebody, when somebody comes back to us, like those images you saw.
They're very confident.
And they say, "Oh, thank you. You've restored my confidence. Oh, I never thought this was possible." Now that is job satisfaction. So if you have the passion in helping people and in making people feel good about themselves, yeah, where do you come? Employers, you want to come and join.
What drives you?
What drives me? Exactly what I just said. Helping people. The joy I see and the joy I feel when people come back to the clinic after the operation, maybe it's 6 months or 12 months later, and say, "Wow, I never thought this was possible. Yeah. I feel more confident about my looks, my career. My career has just gone, from one level to another level. Maybe I've found a partner. So all these things. I mean, yeah, it's all said in the confines of a consultation room, but when you've actually been instrumental in achieving that, in helping them get to that point, it's really, I can't find the words for it.
Wow.
It really is very satisfying.
If you could see the 13-year-old version of you in Nigeria, getting towards making this transition to the UK, what would you tell him about the life that he's about to embark on?
It's a very, very loaded question. Oh, wow. Wow, that is
you can cast your mind back to
that is a very loaded question.
13-year-old boy.
Wow. Where do I start? I would have said to myself, you need to be more serious, because because all this playfulness that you engage in, it's not going to get you to where you want to go. Because, you can be this, you can be that, but the way you're going, you're not going to get there. So,
but you played and you still ended up just fine.
I was a very playful, very unserious young man.
Wow.
It was only when I went to England, and I think that's probably why my parents sent me there.
And the monks really
did
a great job.
Yeah, and the monks did a very good job. They did.
When it's all said and done, what legacy would you want to leave behind? What would you want to say to yourself when you reflect on your life?
Money is not really my motivating factor. There lots of other careers I could have gone into. I think it's the fact that you've actually made a difference, in people's lives. And this particular job that I'm in, the opportunity to travel, So, I mean, until we came to Africa 5 years ago, until my partners decided that, look, let's come to Africa, and me being an African origin, I was the natural choice to be chosen.
Were you the only African on the team?
No. Well, I was a natural choice.
It was very obvious. That guy's going to go.
I was a natural choice to come and head up Vinci in Africa.
Okay.
So bringing hair loss or hair restoration to Africa has really been very fulfilling, because the number of people that have come up to us and said, wow, I never thought this was possible. Wow, so you could get this in Africa now, in Ghana, in Nigeria. Wow, this is brilliant. Ah, we're really making progress. I mean, come on.
Finally, how do we contact Vinci Hair Clinic?
Right, so you could contact us via our Instagram handle, which is Vinci Hair Clinic, Ghana.
Okay.
For Ghana. So that's Vinci, that's VINCI, Hair Clinic, Ghana. And you could contact us on our telephone numbers, which is 030-255-4495 or 055-556-8046.
Okay.
So any of those two numbers or our Instagram handle, you'll be able to get in touch with us.
And the services, do you know if they are based on like a payment plan, or you have to pay it right away?
The treatment costs are usually paid for in advance.
Okay.
But there are ways in which you could pay up for it over a period of time. And as soon as you've made the full payment, you could come in and have the treatment done.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Any last words for all our young people who are watching us this morning and they don't really know? You know, we're in a generation of got to find your purpose, got to know what you want to do with your life. So what advice would you give those who are just like, listen, I'm doing this job because it pays my bills?
You need to try and find your path in life, you know, and by opening your mind to all manners of possibilities, I think invariably fate, you know, would point you where you should be heading. I mean, that's just basically it, you know. Just open your mind.
Thank you so much, Ayo Otubanjo.
Thank you very much. It's been really wonderful. Thank you very much for welcoming. I've really enjoyed it.
I have as well. He's the CEO of Vinci Hair Clinic Africa, and they have a clinic in East Legon on the Shiashi Road. So if you've been impressed by our conversation and you know someone, let them go there. And consultation is absolutely free. So it doesn't hurt to just go there and see exactly what is going on. And if you're able to detect it early enough, you may just be able to treat it without needing surgery. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Citi Tube,
for exclusive breakfast daily content and other Citi TV programs.
Like, comment, and share with your friends.